Hello everyone and welcome to IP Study Lecture video. Today I'm going to take chapter number 13 of grade 8 and the name of the chapter is Data Handling. So let's quickly see what are the topics that we are going to cover in this lecture. So first of all, we will be discussing about what is data handling. Then we will be discussing about how to represent data using different methods. In that case, first we will discuss about what are pictograph, how to draw a pictograph and how to interpret or read pictograph. Then we will be discussing about what are bar graphs and how to use bar graph to represent data. Then we will be seeing how to interpret data using a bar graph. Then we will be discussing about how to compare two datasets using a double bar graph. Then we will be discussing a very new concept, that is pie chart, in this chapter. In that case, we will see how to draw pie chart for a given data and how to read a pie chart. Then towards the end of the chapter, we will be discussing about probability. So without wasting our time, let's start the session. So dear student, we have already discussed about what is data handling in our previous grade, right? Let's say your teacher asks you, do a survey in your class and find out how many students like to play cricket in your class or how many students in your class like to watch television in their spare time. So what you will do, you will start collecting the data from the student. Then what you will do, you will organize the data. And once you have organized the data, then you will start analyzing the data so that you can give answer to your teacher's question, how many of students like cricket and how many of students like to play, how many of students like to watch television in the spare time, right? So in this process, in collecting the data, in organizing the data, then in analyzing the data, what you have done, you are handling the data, right? You are handling the data. So since you are handling the data, so we call this whole process as data handling. Dear student, we have learned one more thing. Every collected data have a central value or the average value, which called the central tendency. And we have different measures of central tendency. What are those? Those are mean, mode and median, which we have already covered in grade 7. So now in grade 8, what is new for us? So here we are going to learn how to represent that collected data. In that scenario, let's discuss about pictograph first. So what are pictographs? Pictograph is a method of representing data using pictures, right? So here, whenever we are drawing a pictograph for a given data, we are always using a symbol or a key. That key or a symbol represent a certain quantity. In order to understand how to interpret and how to draw a pictograph, let's take an example over here. Let's take example number 1 over here. What the example number 1 is saying? So it is saying, look at the pictograph given below and answer the following questions. So here the pictograph is given to you. You can see this on your screen. So what this pictograph is saying? If you look at this pictograph carefully, I can see the months are written over here and the cars are drawn over here. Now what does it mean? Here it is saying certain company is producing certain number of cars in some months. So here 3 months are given, July, August and September. So how many cars are produced in a particular month? It is representing over here using a car. So in this case, what is the key given over here? A complete car is equals to 100 cars and a half car is symbolizing 50 cars, right? So the first question is, how many cars were developed in the month of July? So let's check over here. How many cars you are seeing in this row? There are 3 cars, 1, 2 and 1 half car, right? So for a full car, we will write 100. For another full car, what we will write? 100. And for a half car, what we will write? 50. So which is equals to 250, right? So it means in the month of July, how many cars were produced? 250 cars, right? The same way, now what is the next question? In which month were the maximum number of cars produced? So you can see over here, we have how many cars? We have 4 cars for the month of September. And since 1 car is representing or symbolizing 100 cars, and we have 4 cars drawn over here in this pictograph for the month of September, which is the maximum one. So how many cars are produced? Total 400 cars are produced in the month of September. So I hope you have understood what is a pictograph and how to interpret pictograph, right? Now, let's move on to the next question. Let's take another example. Let's take an example number 2 over here. Let's read it together. Let's see what it is saying. Look at the pictograph given below and answer the following questions, right? So again, we have given a pictograph over here with a symbol, with a key. So here the number of vehicles is represented by a single car, which is equals to 5 vehicles, right? A single car means we have total 5 vehicles. So what it is saying, we have given days of the week over here from Monday to Sunday, right? It is given to us. So how many vehicles are parked, right? It is something related to that only. So let's read the question together and try to solve it. Try to answer the question. The first part is, in which day the maximum number of vehicles were parked? So let's check the pictograph over here. I can see for Thursday, maximum number of cars are drawn over here. It means maximum number of cars were parked on Thursday, right? Next is, on which days the same number of vehicles were parked. Now we have to check on which days same number of vehicles are parked. So look here. Let me change the color of my pen. So on Tuesdays, on Wednesdays, and on Saturdays, these 3 days, same number of vehicles were parked. And how many? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 5s are 20. So 20 vehicles were parked on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturday. I hope this is clear to you. Now the next question is, how many total vehicles were parked throughout the week? In order to find out, what we have to do, we have to add all the vehicles throughout the week and we have to multiply it by 5. When you do so, you will get your answer, which is equals to 140 vehicles. So dear student, I hope you have understood the concept of pictograph very well, right? Now let's move on to the next topic. And what is our next topic? The next topic is bar graph. Very interesting and important as well. So dear student, why we need bar graphs to represent the data, the collected data? Why there is a need to use bar graph when we have pictographs? So when the collected data is less in number, it is easy for us to draw pictures in order to represent that data. But once the value of the data increases, in that case, it is quite difficult for us to represent that data using pictures. So what we have to do, we have to find a solution for that. In that case, the need of bar graph, right? So using a bar graph, we can represent the large values, right? We can represent the data having very large values using rectangular bars. That is why it is called bar graph, right? So a bar graph is a pictorial representation of the numerical data using bars of uniform width, erected horizontally or vertically with equal spacing between them. These are the 3 important points. Whenever you are drawing a bar graph, all the rectangular bars will be of equal width. They will be equally spaced from one another, right? And these bar graphs can be drawn vertically or horizontally, right? So this is the speciality of this bar graph, or you can say that these are the characteristics of a bar graph. Now, in this section, we will be exploring how to draw a bar graph and how to interpret or how to read bar graph. So for that, in order to understand this concept in a more better way, let's take an example over here. Let's take example number 3. So what example number 3 is saying? The area cultivated under different crops in the year 2015 was as follows. So here we have given different crops, right? We have given wheat, rice, pulses, oil seeds, sugarcane, cotton and other cereals as well. So in how much area these crops are cultivated? It is given in 10 lakh hectares. This is the area. And how much area these crops are cultivated, like wheat is cultivated in 25, rice 35, 20, 15, 9, 10 and 40, right? Now we have to draw a bar graph in order to represent this data. So the first thing is, look at the data which is given to you, right? It is given over here in terms of area. Now choose a suitable scale first. First draw the y-axis and the x-axis, right? Now you have to choose a scale first. So over here, what we have done over here, we have taken 20 units equals to 10 lakh hectare. This is the area we are representing on the y-axis. So we have taken this thing 10, 20, 30, 40 according to the scale that we have chosen over here. Next thing is read the data and then start drawing it. So whatever crop is given to you, that will be represented on your x-axis, and in what area it is cultivated, that is given on the y-axis. You have chosen a correct scale that you have drawn already over here. Now start drawing it. Okay, start representing the data using a rectangular bar. So for wheat, how much area is given? 25, right? So we have to draw a bar graph till 25, right? Like this. So you have drawn a bar graph over here for wheat. Similarly for rice, it is given 35. So just read 35 over here. 35 is here. So you have drawn another rectangular bar like this over here, right? Next is 20. So where is 20? 20 is over here. Then you have drawn 20 over here and rectangular bar again for pulses. Next we have oil seeds. For oil seed we have 15 over here. So find out where is 15. 15 will be here somewhere. So you have drawn oil seed rectangular bar graph here. Next what we have sugar cane, which is cultivated in 9, this much area. So it is taken from here 9. In similar way, cotton and other cereals are drawn over here like this. So I hope it is clear to you how to draw a bar graph on a graph paper. So in order to draw a bar graph on a graph paper, first of all you have to draw x-axis and y-axis. Then depending upon the quantity given to you in a question, you have to choose a suitable scale. After that, you have to divide the y-axis accordingly and take the quantity that you are going to represent on y-axis. After that, you have to draw a rectangular bar depending upon the data given to you, like we did in this question. So I hope you have understood how to represent a bar graph for a given data. Right? These are the steps that we have followed. Now let's take another example and see how to read a bar graph. So over here you have given a bar graph, and what this bar graph is telling us, it is telling us expenditure in crores, and it is given, read the graph given below representing the expenditure on the education system of a country in a particular financial year and answer the following question. So the bar graph is about this. Next thing is you have to read the bar graph first and then try to answer the following questions. So the first question is, in which system was the minimum provision made? In which system? In case of special classes, you can see that the rectangular bar for this particular section is the smallest one. So the minimum provision was made for special classes. This is our answer, right? Now the next question is, what was the total amount of money estimated for smooth functioning on the education system of the country? So for that, what you have to do, you have to add all the values for each and every sector over here. So for this particular section, it is given 30. For this particular section, 32. For this one, it is given 16. For this one, it is given 12. For this one, it is given 22. For this one, you have to plot 16. And like this, right? So what we have to do, we have to add all the data in order to find out answer for this question. When you do so, you will get 158 crore as your required result, right? Now let's see what is the third part is asking. What percentage of total estimated amount was kept for libraries and recreational activity? Now check libraries and recreational activity. For that we have 28 crores, right? And what is the total budget that we have already spent? It is 158 crores. So we have to find out the percentage. So in order to find out the percentage, what we have to do, we have to divide 28 by total amount, that is 158, multiplied by 100. If you do so, you will get your desired result, that is this much percent, right? Now the last question is, under which head of the maximum provision of estimated amount was made? Maximum amount was made. So it is for class 10th, up to class 10th, maximum provision was made, right? So this is your answer. So I hope it is clear to you how to represent data using a bar graph and how to read data, how to interpret data using a bar graph, from a bar graph. So let's move on to the next topic and let's see what is there. The next topic is double bar graph. Suppose two data sets are given to you and you are supposed to compare the values of these two data sets. So in that scenario, instead of using a single bar graph and drawing two different bar graphs, it's better to draw a double bar graph and compare the two values together. So to understand this, let's take an example over here. Let's take example number 7. So what it is saying, let's read it together. The bar graph given below represent the average weight. Let me change the color of my pen. Average weight of boys and girls of different sections of class. Read the graph and answer the following question, right? So what is given? It is given weight of boys and girls for different sections of a class, right? So here, if you look at this bar graph, the average weight of boys is represented by this gray box or the gray rectangular bar, and the average weight of girls is represented by this pink rectangular bar, right? So look at this bar graph, double bar graph. So the y-axis is representing average weight in kgs, and the x-axis is representing sections of different classes, right? So over here we have section A, section B, section C, D and E, and for different sections we have average weight of boys and girls together. So now let's try to answer the question that has been asked over here. The first question is, which section has the maximum average weight? So the maximum average weight, we can see the rectangular bars over here is the maximum one. So you can say for section A we have maximum average weight for boys as well as for girls. Similarly, now let's move on to the next question. The next question is, in which class the average weight of boys and girls the same? So look at this. For section D, I can see that the rectangular bar for boys, average weight of boys and average weight of girls are equal. So for section D, we have equal average weight for girls and boys as well. Right now, next move to the next question. Find the ratio of the average weight of boys and girls in section C. So let's see section C over here. Let me change the color again. This is section C. So what is the average weight of boys over here? It is 40, right? And what is the average weight of girls? It is almost 42. So if you take the ratio of these two, what you will get? 40:42, right? You can further reduce it and it can be reduced to 20:21. So what is the required result? 20:21 is the required result, right? Now let's move on to the next question. And what is the next question? The next question is, what is the difference between the average weight of boys and girls in section E? Now here you have to find out average difference between the average weight of boys and girls. For which section? For section E. So let's see for section E, what is the average weight of the boys? It is almost 44, and for average weight of the girls, it is 38. And what is the question? You have to find out the difference between the average weight of girls as well as average weight of boys. So when you do so, you will get the differences of 6 kgs. So dear student, I hope you have understood how to read or how to interpret a double bar graph when you're comparing two data sets, right? So double bar graph makes your work easy when you want to compare two data sets together. Now let's move on to the next topic. Now let's see how to construct a double bar graph. So We have just discussed about how to read a double bar graph or how to compare two data sets using a double bar graph. So now let's see how to draw a double bar graph. So let's take an example number 8. So here we have to draw a double bar graph for the given data. So what is the data given over here? It is given we have 3 schools, school A, school B, school C, and it is given how many of the students like walking and like cycling, right? So for let's say if we talk about walking and compare 3 different schools, so we can see school A, 40 students like to walk, 55 for B and 15 for C. In the same way, if we talk about cycling, so section A, 45 students like to cycle, 25 in B, section B, and 35 in section C. So first of all, what we have to do, again, as I've told you, draw the x-axis and the y-axis on a graph paper. Then you have to decide the scale that you're going to use in order to draw the bar graph. So here, depending upon the number of values that we are having for this particular data, the maximum value is for 55 and the minimum value is 15. So on the basis of that, we have taken 1 unit is equals to 10 number of students, right? So here, let's start drawing for walking first. And here what we are doing, we are using gray color for walking and pink color for cycling. So let's draw the data for walking first. So for section A, we have 40 students. So we have drawn 40 students over here. For section B, we have 55. So we have drawn 55 over here, right? This rectangular bar reaching 55. Next, for section C, we have 15. So here, 15 is here, right? So we have drawn data for number of students who like to walk for different sections. In the same way, we will draw the data using rectangular bars in this graph paper for cycling as well in the same way. So for section A, we have 45 students. So here 45 comes for this. Let me change the color. 45 is here, right? Next, we have 25 for section B. So 25 is here. In the same way, for section C, we have 35 students. So 35 is here. So dear student, this is how you can draw a double bar graph for a given data. So we have drawn the schools on the x-axis and number of students on the y-axis using a suitable scale, right? So I hope it is clear to you how to compare two data sets using a double bar graph and how to draw a double bar graph for two data sets together, right? So let's move on to the next topic and let's see what is there. The next topic is pie chart. Very interesting and important topic as well, right? So dear students, so far we have discussed about how to represent and how to read data using a pictograph, using a bar graph and using a double bar graph. Now we have a special graph that is called pie chart. It is also called a circle graph. In this case, the circle is divided into different sectors and each sectors represent a part which combines to make a whole, right? So here, in order to draw a pictobar graph, we have to find out the central angle. And in order to find out the central angle of a component, what we have to do, we have to divide the value of the component by sum of the values of all component and multiply it with 360 degree. Now the question is why 360 degree? Because a complete circle or a complete angle measures of 360 degree, right? Now let's see how to construct a pie chart for a given data. In order to understand this, let me take example number 10 for you, okay? So here it is saying there are 900 literature books in a library as per the list given below in the table. So fiction, 175 books are available. For non-fictions, we have 125 books. For poetry, we have 150, classic 50 and novels we have 400, right? So in order to represent this data on a pie chart, first of all, we have to find out the total component, sum of the all components. So here we have 175, 125, 150, 50 and 400. If you add all these books, you will get the total component and it is also given to us already. That is 900. Okay, the sum of all the components is equals to 900. Now we have to find out central angle for each and every component. For that, what we have to do, we have to divide each and every component by the sum of all components. So here for fictional books, how many books we have? We have 175 books out of 900. So what I will do, I will divide 175 by 900 and multiply it with 360 degree. When I do so, I will get angle 70 degree for fictional books. Now let's talk about non-fictional books. We have 125 non-fictional books out of 900, and in order to find out the angle, what we have to do, we have to divide 125 by 900 and then multiply it with 360 degree. In that case, what you will get 50 degree as the required angle for non-fictional book. In the same way, we will do it for poetry, classic and novels, and we will get these angles, right? Now we got the angles, right? What we have to do, what will be our next step? The next step is, we will draw a circle of any radius like this. Then what we will do, we will draw an angle. First, let's say I have drawn a radius and I will put the protector over here and make an angle of 70 degree, which is representing number of fictional books in this pie chart. After that, I will put the protector over here on this arm and then draw an angle of 50 degree, which is representing the number of non-fictional book in this pie chart. Again, thereafter, I will put the protector over here on this arm and draw an angle of 20 degree, which is representing classical book in this pie chart. Then in the same way, I will put the protector over here and make an angle of 60 degree, which is representing poetry books in this pie chart. In the same way, I will put the protector over here and make an angle of 160 degree, which is representing novels in this pie chart. So I hope you have understood how to draw a pie chart in order to represent any data. So what are the steps that we have followed? First of all, find out the sum of all the components. Then you have to find out each angle for the component. For that, what you will do, you will divide individual component by the sum of the component and then multiply the ratio with 360 degree. When you do so, for each and every component, you get the angle, right? Once you get the angle, after that, you have to draw a circle of any radius. Draw a radius first, put the protector over here and start making the angle. When you draw the first angle, then the arm of this angle will represent or will be used as the base of the next angle. Like this, you will complete your pie chart. So I hope, student, you have understood how to draw a pie chart, right? Now let's see how to read a pie chart. This is also very interesting and important as well. So in order to understand that, let's take an example first. So here, let's take example number 11. So what is given over here? Let's see. Monthly income of a family is rupees 9,000. The following pie chart shows how the family spent the money in a month. Study the pie chart and answer the following questions. Right? So family, how much amount is spent on different things or different activities, it is given in the form of this pie chart, and it is also given how much total amount they're having. They're having now 9,000 rupees, right? So in total they have 9,000 rupees, and this 9,000 rupees is divided into different kinds of expenditure. So now let's see what are the different kinds of expenditures this family has. On the basis of that, we have to answer this question. So here, the first question is, how much money was spent on food? So let's see what is there. The food is here. It is given 80 degree. So 80 degree out of how much? 360 degree, right? And whose part is this? Their monthly income, right? If you solve it, you will get rupees 2,000. It means out of 9,000 rupees, they are spending 2,000 rupees on food itself, right? Now, the next question is, how much money was spent on education? So look at this. What is the degree given for education field? It is 40 degree. So 40 degree out of 360 degree, right? and it will be multiplied with 9,000 in order to find out how much money is spent on education. So if you solve it, what you will get rupees 1,000. It means this family is spending rupees 1,000 on the education sector. Next is how much money was spent on clothes. Now look at this pie chart and let's see. For clothes, it is given 100 degree. So what you will do, you will divide this 100 degree by 360 degree and then multiply it with 9,000, right? Now, when you solve it, what you will get? You will get rupees 2,500. It implies this family is spending 2,500 rupees out of 9,000 only on clothes, right? Now, what is the next question? How much money did the family save? How much money the family save? Now, let's see the pie chart again. It is given 50 degree for savings. So, 50 degree out of 360 degree multiplied with 9,000. So, what you will get? When you solve it, you will get 1,250 rupees or simply 1,250 rupees. So, this is the amount the family is saving out of 9,000 rupees, right? Now, what is the last question? The last question is, find the ratio of the amount spent on miscellaneous items to that of spent on food. So, we have already calculated the amount of money the family is spending on food. What we have to calculate? The amount of money the family is spending on miscellaneous items. So let's check this pie chart again, and it is given 90 degrees. So first of all, we have to find out how much money is spent on miscellaneous item. For that, what we will do, we will divide 90 degree by 360 degree and multiply it with 9,000 rupees. When you do so, you will get how much money is spent? 2,250 rupees. Now, what was asked? It was asked we have to find out ratio. We have to find out ratio of what? Miscellaneous item to amount of money spent on food. So, it will be 2,250 divided by 2,000, right? So, this can be reduced further. If you reduce it, you will get 9:8. So, this is the required ratio. So, with the help of these two examples, I have tried my best to make you understand how to draw a pie chart for a given data and how to read a pie chart for a given data. So, I hope you have understood this topic very well. Now, let's move on to the next topic. What is the next topic? The next topic is very easy and interesting as well. What is that? Probability. What is probability? Probability is the fractional number that measures the chance of an outcome happening. All the probabilities have a value between 0 and 1. You can have maximum probability of 1. You can have minimum probability of 0. It cannot be more than 1. It cannot be less than 0. This is very important. Whatever probability values you have, it will lie between 0 and 1 only. Maximum will be 1 and minimum will be 0. Now we have a formula for this. Favorable outcome divided by total number of outcome. If you do so, what you will get? You will get probability of that particular case. Now, in order to understand this, let me take an example for you. Let's take example number 12. You have a dice, you play Ludo or some other game where the dice is used. You know that it is 6-faced, a 3D solid, and the numbers are written on it on each face from 1 to 6, right? Let me write it for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So, what is the total number of outcome we have? Total number of outcomes. How many outcomes we have? We have 6 outcomes. Suppose I ask you, a die is thrown, and what is the probability that you will get a 3? Number 3. So, how many times I can see a number 3 on a dice? I can see only one time, right? So, what is the probability? 1 divided by 6 for this, right? Now, let me change the question. I say, a die is thrown randomly. What is the probability that the number comes on the die that will be a even number. That will be an even number. So we have to check how many outcomes we have. We have total six outcomes for this dice. Now I'm talking about even number, right? So what are those even numbers? We have 2, we have 4, we have 6. So how many even numbers we have in these 6 numbers? Out of these 6 numbers, we have 3. So 3 even numbers out of any 6, right? So this is the probability. You can reduce this further. This can be reduced by 1 by 2, right? Now suppose I have changed the scenario. I said a die is thrown randomly. What is the probability that the number comes will be greater than 4? So how many numbers we have greater than 4? We have 2 numbers only. One is 5 and another one is 6. So what will be the probability? Probability of even will be 2 by 6. This can be reduced further. We can write 1 by 3 for this, right? So I hope you have understood what is the meaning of probability and how to calculate probability for different events. Always remember, the maximum value of probability is 1 and the minimum value of probability is 0. The probability of any event lie between 0 and 1. It cannot be more than 1. It cannot be less than 0. So dear students, what we have discussed in this lecture, we have discussed what is data handling. Then we have discussed what is pictograph, how to represent data using a pictograph, and how to read a pictograph. Thereafter, we have discussed about bar graphs, how to draw a bar graph, and how to read bar graph in order to find out the important information. Then we have discussed how to compare two data sets using a double bar graph, where we learned how to interpret a double bar graph and how to draw a double bar graph as well. Then we have discussed very important a new topic for you, that is pie chart, how to draw a pie chart and how to read a pie chart. And thereafter we just discussed about the probability, right? So I hope you have understood the topics that we have covered in this lecture. We will meet you soon in the next lecture. Till then, take good care of yourself, keep smiling, keep learning, keep practicing.